What's up, guys? Welcome to a Roaring podcast from Roaring.io, where we talk to some of the best in tech and product management. My name is Jesper Kask, and I'm your host. In this episode, we meet up with Amalia Lundin, product owner at PE Accounting. We discuss the challenges of digitizing a traditional industry, some recent use cases of process optimization, and how to get a better view of your company financials. Enjoy. Okay, welcome everyone, and a special welcome to our guest today, Amalia Lundin, product owner at PE Accounting. It's great to have you here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the story behind PE Accounting to kick us off.
Of course. My name is Amalia Lundin, and I work as a product owner at PE Accounting. So I've been there for like 5 years this summer. And I've lived in Stockholm for 7.5 of those, so that's quite a lot of time. But let's explain what the PE does. I would like to say it this way, that we want to give control to our customers, both over the numbers, but also over the processes. You should be able to grow your company without having the administration of the economy processes to hold you back. So we want to, you should be able to grow and scale up your business. You should be able to have so much more transactions and everything, but the economy should just be a nice flow with your automated processes. And it should be smooth and a slim process. And you should be able to take decisions over, on the numbers.
Okay. And given that the accounting business is sort of a traditional one and not the typically the most fast-moving business or industry, how is your way of doing things and sort of your take on digitizing and automating processes in a business like that or an industry like that? How has that been received?
I think, of course, it has been. We did a big thing while starting the company in 2011. So it's been 10 years, 2021 year. But I think that the traditional business, you have the people working with economy, and don't hate me when I say this, but I think they can be very I have my processes, and you like control, you want to control, and you're super used to the papers and your processes. So when we go in and say you don't have to do this, the computer do this, and we have automated processes, and they just be I lose my control, but we're giving the control. So that can be a switch. And I actually was with one of our sales executives, or I don't know, really tough to say it in English, but on a meeting, and actually last year there was one woman was no, this doesn't sound like control, and I was but of course. Of course it is control. She wanted to hold the papers in her hands. That was control for her. Yeah. That's been interesting. But I think people have got digitalization things now. That is, you want to see it in your computer, and that you want to don't have all those binders or all those papers anymore. But but I think we have done a lot in the industry. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and so have you seen sort of an adoption that is sort of growing, and more people getting used to working in digital tools and using platforms and systems in a different way, or?
Yeah, really. I think that people are more and more used when they get what we actually do, and understand that we can handle the flows, that we can be a quality, and assuring that the data is good, it's updated, and what we actually do is just take off the manually work, but we still have control over the flows. So when people understand that, I think that they can lay back, but it takes some time, and especially with people having actually their work is to have control. But I think that is a switch, going up for giving advices on the data that you have, all the numbers in the system. So I think it maybe is a bit of a switch in what the person that works as an accountant or anything actually do. I think it's the accounting role is being a lot more hotter these days, I believe.
Yeah, and you mentioned the data that you see as an sort of an integral part of this, given that your sort of end user wants control and wants a sort of a process comfort in terms of quality. Um, how is data from internal and external sources used in your processes and your platform?
Yeah, so I can just explain PA a little bit more. We handle all the processes from like incoming flows of supplier invoices, so your revenues going out, even if you have like subscriptions or like invoices. So we have like a lot of data of our customers. So of course that we can do a lot of stuff with that in the product development. If you want to know like how do someone use anything, we can use that, of course. But it has enabled a lot of functions and a lot of like analyzing tools as well. For one example, we have like working with a company called Go Climate, doing like sustainability reports, and all that is based on the data for our customers that exists in the accounting, so that we can, like before, maybe have to like track all the transactions and know, okay, this expense is like a travel, and yeah, travel related to this and that like affect this in the report, and it's like for the climate part and everything. And now we can like from the data we have, like, yeah, automatically track the transactions and state, yeah, so less would say a document to the sustainability report. So that's super cool.
And you discuss or you mentioned this sustainability report. Has there been any other case that where you've seen sort of data as a crucial part in automating these kind of processes? Or
yeah, we had a lot of like cases that we that is the most like crucial thing for us, of course. We have one example right now, of course, and it's always important, but we get to know a lot of stuff about our customers, both like the basics. Of course, we work with accounting, we get to know our customers, but we do risk analysis as well. That is like crucial to, should they be a customer to us? Can they be associated with anti-money laundering or any financing terrorism and those kind of stuff that is like, yeah, we get to have control
risk
of that.
assessment and AML data.
Exactly. So in those cases, we have to have like data from external sources, because that information we don't have automatically by all the transactions in the company. So that has been crucial to our processes about that.
And how does that AML process look like for your end user in the platform? How do they use that data to ensure that their customers are not a risk?
We have both like two things. Our like end users, like our customers, they can sign that they know who's like owning the company, and like we call it, I think it's signatories. I don't in English, that they know, like, do they have any? Yeah, exactly. Do they like have any persons that is maybe can be classified as a political exposed person or anything? So they get to know that information, so they like sign off their identity. So that's the thing we have moved into PIA. So that is like what the end user sees on our end. But then of course we have not only customers, we have a great team, my colleagues at the consulting part, and they work like closely together with our customers. So they have what you can say, like a page in the system for like doing this risk analysis. So at this page we expose like all the data. This is like you base the risk analysis on. So yeah, and so we have both like showing the data, visualize it for them to like take action on it, but then we also have like them automatically informing them with an email if there has been any changes or if the risk analysis has to be done again, because you do it like mostly I think once a year depending on the risk. So if you have done that, and then actually you get one person like in the board of the company or anything, we can like send an email the consultant in our my colleagues at the consulting department and say that, okay, hey, your customer, they have a memory in the board that seems to be on this PEP list. Please check it out and talk with your customer and do the risk analysis again so we can report the right stuff to them. I don't know exactly how to say it, but the finance authority. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah.
Yeah, the supervisory authority, yeah. And what in that case, it seems like you have sort of a one-click process where you do the risk assessment or can find out if the customer is right for you. And how did that process look like before? What was it like before?
I think there was like more steps and couldn't be like given out the responsibility as much as we would like to our consultants or the accountants at our side. So I think we were like to send the information to get it controlled and then get it back. So it was a much more like manual process, and our end users, there was a separate system for signing and verify their identity and stuff. So there was a lot more like systems, and couldn't like give the responsible to the teams at the same way. So this has been a much more controlled and controlled flow for everyone involved.
Yeah, bringing cohesion into sort of the system and platform, and also automating the process.
Yeah, exactly.
And what are some of the results you've seen from this process, for example, the AML process?
I don't have exactly like numbers, but it has been much more of like control flow. And as I said before, like you don't have to hunt your customers like, please sign in this at this part or in this separate system. Now they can actually see, like when logging in, you get to sign this. And my colleagues can also like have a much more structured process with like having all the data, don't having to log into another system to, okay, look, this customer app, we have to do like this. They could like be like in P accounting, just looking at the data and do the risk analysis. So much more efficient.
Cool. And what are some of the challenges that you've encountered in your journey towards digitizing and automating these processes related to accounting? We mentioned that it's a very traditional business, and you sort of try to get the adoption from people around and getting them to use and accept the digitalization of accounting. But what are some of the biggest like issues and challenges that you've encountered on your end?
Do you think about like product development or in these specific projects or
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think that overall, like, it's a quite complex product in form that we have many like laws and regulations and things that has to be like in some ways. But I think that could be like discussed as well, because like when a company comes to us and they have had like one system and one firm, so only the accounting parts are not at the same place always. It could be like one system and one accounting firm externally, and then you have some economy person at your end, and that's only like the accounting stuff. And then maybe you have a system for time reporting, and it could be like so many systems and so many processes. So okay, what were I supposed to come with that? but yeah, challenges. But
no, but that's a common issue, I think, in a lot of companies when it comes to these kind of processes, whether it's regarding accounting or payroll or whatever, that you have to do it in multiple systems with sort of not always a cohesive customer data view that is consistent across systems. So you have different data in different systems, and you have to sort of like jump between them to find out stuff and conduct these processes in a good way.
Exactly. Yeah. So exactly as you say, it's many processes, and you don't have one way of looking at it, so you can get like an overview of everything. But what I was about to say, I think everything like turns out to like numbers that you want to take decisions on. So I think we are really, really good at that. That has been the thing from the beginning, that if you want to know how your company perform, like at this time of the day, you should be able to know that in your accounting system, and that wasn't the case before. You had like a firm, and you have a system, and you have to like talk with the firm, and maybe the firm could make like, we call it like closing every month, and then the closing of like January could be like closed somewhere in February. So if you want to know, yeah, the numbers, maybe you get the numbers from January. So it never was at least up to date. So that was one of the big problems or issues that I think one of our founders really thought was so frustrating. So how P really started from the beginning. So yeah, and it's super important like that. How could you even like take decisions if you don't have numbers? Or if you want to go to the bank, maybe you want to invest in another company, how's the status of my company? You want to know that in like with real data and up to date. So that's super important. And I think that we have come to like, we do very good in the accounting parts. And I think that what's super exciting and that what we can do better is like, or better, but we, of course, you want to what would you say, develop the product, but like to get even more like smooth flows, because maybe it's very good for, what do you say, the person working with economy, because everything's connected, so you don't have to do like, oh, okay, they're reporting time in this system, I have to like get it into my system and know how everything is connected. So that we have, but I think that it could be it's fun to see how we can like affect the end users even more, the person that is reporting time, or it's like owning one project in the system, working towards a customer. How can their flows be even more like smooth and give them control? So like, yeah, I think there are much to do. Yeah, and visualize the data even better.
And in terms of sort of the AML process, if I just jump back a little bit, what's been the reaction from your team, sort of automating this internal process of checking your own customers from an AML perspective?
I think it has been, if you talk about my like development team,
Mm-hmm. Or the consultants using the interface to check customers.
yeah, I think that it was a good like checking to like getting everyone involved in the teams. We have like, yeah, a different level of accountants working in a team with a customer. So I think that's a very good like way to getting them really to know the customers, even if we have to do it before, of course. But I think that, yeah, it has been, and it got like a quick way to do it as well, because we had like, okay, this is the date, you have to do it like for this year or for this period, and they could set a date and everyone could do it and everyone know how to do it. And yeah, we could like follow up in our systems like how many has been turning it in, and what date everything has been saved, and which should we like say hello, knock knock, please do it right now. We could like, yeah, and it's such a feeling of control like during the year, because we have that automatic process of getting in the data of changes, so they just have to act on those changes during the year. You don't have to think about like, oh, but I know will be a new board member, how will I remember when they register that? But okay, I will get a notice in my mail, and I could like sit back right now, and I know that the system will do it for me.
So a lot of comfort in the process there.
Yeah.
And how are you getting these updates? What kind of technology are you using?
We have like webhooks, so we use the APIs towards like P and Roaring, so we can get like information. I think it's like both way. Now, okay, I'm maybe in the development team, but some of the data stuff I leave to the developers. But of course we ask for information and get that from Roaring, and we could like compare different stuff, like from the board members, is someone in this list. We check them to the PEP and sanction lists that we get from you as well.
So technically, it's sort of an API integration in the first step of the process, in the customer onboarding process, for example, and then you have webhooks connected to that, keeping you up to date on changes.
Yeah, exactly. So we like when a customer comes in, we like update so we have like all the facts about the customer, so we have all the information, and then we just use the webhooks to like get the information updated.
And how, in terms of your team of consultants who are doing these kind of AML tasks, because a lot of companies we talk to, the teams of AML specialists or compliance officers or whatever, they sort of have this feeling when they're doing things or conducting the AML process in different systems and possibly doing some data collection on their own, and we get this a lot from companies that they have trouble sleeping at night, wondering if they did everything right, and if they got the right data, and if the customer was a good fit, or if it was a risk, or how is your team sort of, how is that your process and automating the process, how has that changed your team's view of all that?
They have been sleeping a lot. No, but I can recognize what you say. Like of course, we have an officer on this like responsible for the reporting towards the authorities. So I think for that person, I think it has been a lot more easier to like know that everyone, do this risk analysis, and we actually have the data, that we don't miss anything. Because it feels like if you would do this manually, not automatically, there's so many sources of data that you have to look on, because it's like board members and it's like signatories, and they're like, I think we control, like we get data from 5 sources from you, and then we control it towards 2 other sources to know, okay, do we have a match here? And that may be risky for the companies, or for the companies, but that might be a risk for us having them as a customer. So so I think I feel relieved that we have done that, because when like now we have like very, very good control over the processes, because even if you don't miss anything, like I don't know how you are as a person, but I like check the handle of my of the door of my apartment like several times. But if I could see in some easy way that I don't have to do that, that is very comforting. So I really think that it's very comforting to know that you do everything right and you have all the data sources that you need and get all those changes. Because otherwise, it would be like wouldn't be updated, and then it wouldn't be the right sources, and then you do it wrong. So that's so little can like change if the risk analysis, like the risk analysis is a good one or a bad one. So that's could be so.
And you don't want to be the sort of the face of a big AML scandal at PE Accounting. So
no. Exactly.
So what's next for PE Accounting in terms of improving processes and products in the platform?
Oh, I think we can do, we'll do some really, really cool stuff. As I mentioned before, like the sustainability report, that's like a big step as well. And like how another way of using the data we have. And I think that we could like do a lot more of like those kind of stuff, or like, have another sort of risk analysis maybe in the companies based on the data we have. Or like, for example, like, okay, you have or risk, but you don't have money in the bank, or do that much more as an easy flow, and how to react to the numbers or what's happening. So I think that we have all the data, and I think we visualize it in a good way, but we can do it even more understandable for like even if you have like no, like what would you say, no education or any interest of like economy outside of your company, maybe.
Yeah, you don't need to be an accountant to understand it.
No, exactly. And I think we are it is more easy with our system actually, because I have had a lot of customers myself before that hasn't that experience and work as CEO or anything at the company, and actually can handle that very good by having our company. But I think that we could like give them even more what can the numbers say? I think we can do even more in like different ratios and like more understandable than in numbers.
And in the bigger picture for accounting as an industry, what do you see in the future for accounting, and the digitization of that industry in particular?
I think like the digitalization parts, I really hope that there isn't so many going with these big binders. You could see before, I'm from Gothenburg and I always took the train with like Christmas, and you can always see that's the person working as an auditor or senior audit person at one of the big four companies, and you could just see like the big supermarket bags filled with like binders of documents from their customers. And I really hope that I will not see that anymore, because I've been so used to like working at PF for these 5 years that is no papers at all. So I think that digitalization journey is like one, and then you have like to automate the processes. So I think that will still go on. There's so much like AI and everything, and for like for different bookkeeping processes that you probably could be using. And I think I can already see like the shift from what you actually work with when you work as an accountant. As I said before, if you say that I work as an accountant, people is like, okay, don't want to know so much more. But I think that's role has really changed, because now it isn't just like, okay, one account here, one account there, save. It's like a bit more to understand the processes. What is my company doing? What do I have these costs? Can I do it in another way? How can I like take all the revenues or everything to help my business grow and everything? I think it's more, and I think the accountants or more like advisors could work in a different way and really support the customers with good processes, and then the knowledge, of course, because it's like laws and legislation you have to follow, so you have to do it in that way.
Yeah, and it enables the sort of a proactiveness.
To work in another way, like to use the data instead of like setting up the data. The data is like there, and you could work with that in different ways. So I think it could be very, very like developing for those roles as well, to get another way of looking at the companies they work with, to help them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're coming up on about 30 minutes. Any closing thoughts on your end that you want to leave the listeners with?
Don't think that accounting persons are boring. They're actually quite fun people. And the business is changing and those roles are changing as well. And and if you feel that the economy processes it's just an administrative chaos, you should like take your time, set up the processes, and have a system that you understand what's happening, own your numbers. And then you can focus on like growing your business and focus on the core business.
Super. That's great advice. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Amalia, for joining us today. Really appreciated having you on, and I hope to hear from you soon again. You've been listening to an episode of a Roaring podcast by Roaring.io. Feel free to share it with your friend, colleague, or peer if you liked it. If you wish to stay connected to us, don't forget to subscribe to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.